Toto Wolff has just threatened to kick one of his drivers off Mercedes. This is not a rumor. It's not speculation. He said it himself in an exclusive interview. If the rivalry between Antonelli and Russell turns toxic, one of the two will be removed from the car immediately. Period. No discussion. This is the most explosive statement a team principal has made in the entire 2026 Formula One season, and it reveals that behind the scenes of the most winning and dominant team in the championship, a dangerously growing internal tension could blow everything up at any moment. Wolff knows perfectly well what happens when two teammates start fighting each other without limits. He lived it firsthand for 4 consecutive seasons with Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg from 2013 to 2016. That rivalry began as a childhood friendship and ended with wheel-to-wheel collisions on track, disqualification threats for both drivers, and a total split within the garage that poisoned the team's atmosphere for years. Wolff has sworn he will never again allow something like that to happen under his management. Never again. And the fact that he felt the need to say it publicly now means something is already boiling beneath the surface. If this situation seems incredible to you, subscribe to the channel and write in the comments who you think Wolff would sacrifice between Antonelli and Russell if he were forced to choose. The numbers speak clearly and tell a story Russell wouldn't want to hear. Antonelli has won 6 races in the first 11 of the championship. Russell has won 1. Antonelli leads the Drivers' Championship with 219 points. Russell is third with 160, already 59 points behind his teammate and even behind Lewis Hamilton of Ferrari, who is second with 169 points. Antonelli strung together 5 consecutive wins in the first 6 races of the season, something extraordinary for a driver in his second year in Formula One. Russell entered the season as the big favorite for the title thanks to his experience. He was the one who was supposed to dominate. He was the one who was supposed to lead the team. Instead, he found himself in the shadow of a younger, faster teammate, humiliating him race after race in the exact same car. But Russell's situation isn't just a matter of pure speed, and that's the point that makes the whole affair even more dramatic and hard to judge. Bad luck has hounded him in an almost cruel way during this first part of the season, and this makes everything incredibly complicated to analyze for anyone trying to understand whether Russell is really slower than his teammate or whether he's a victim of unfortunate circumstances that compromised the entire first half of the championship. In Montreal, he was leading the race, completely dominating, when his car's battery exploded and he had to retire, losing a practically certain victory and 25 crucial points that would have completely changed the standings. In Monaco, he received a controversial penalty for a team error during the pit stop that dropped him out of the points in a race where he had the potential to reach the podium. In Belgium, his race ended brutally on the first lap, after an accident that wasn't his fault. And in Hungary, a problem with the anti-stall system right on the starting line compromised him from the very beginning of the race, taking away any chance of fighting for the win. Without these 4 unfortunate episodes, the gap to Antonelli in the standings would be minimal and the narrative of the season would be completely different. Wolff himself has acknowledged that without these problems, the situation in the standings would be very different. He said that the lost victory in Montreal would have completely changed Russell's mindset for the following races, and that an engine problem with his car that took a long time to identify was costing him 0.2 per lap. An enormous handicap in Formula One, where races are decided by thousandths of a second. Hit like now if you want to keep following this rivalry that's about to explode inside Mercedes. But here's the question nobody in the paddock has the courage to ask openly, and that everyone asks in private. If Wolff says he'll pull off the car, whichever driver creates a toxic rivalry, who among the two is at greater risk? Who is the expendable driver? The answer seems obvious at first glance, but analyzing it deeply, it isn't at all. Antonelli is clearly faster at this point in time and leads the championship by an important margin. Russell has more international experience, a longer and more established relationship with the team, and a technical knowledge of Mercedes built up over years. Antonelli represents Mercedes' bright future and the long-term project on which Wolff has invested his personal credibility ever since the young Italian's debut. Russell is the solid present who is nevertheless fighting desperately not to become the team's past. In a situation of open conflict between the two, the cold logic of results would say the sacrificed driver would inevitably be the one with fewer wins and fewer points in the standings. And at this point in the season, that driver is without any doubt George Russell. Wolff, however, has shown confidence in his British driver with words that sound like genuine support but also hide a subtle, veiled warning that hasn't escaped the paddock's most attentive observers. He said that if there's anyone capable of handling a situation of extreme pressure while playing defense, it's George Russell, because he's a tough kid, mentally resilient. He added that the best are capable of turning negative situations around and that he firmly believes Russell can do it. But behind these words of encouragement lies a hard reality. Wolff is essentially telling Russell that he needs to react and become competitive again, or the situation will become untenable. The ghost of Hamilton and Rosberg looms over everything happening inside Mercedes right now. That rivalry lasted 4 years and produced memorable and spectacular moments on track. But it completely and permanently destroyed the friendship between two people who had known each other since childhood and had grown up together in karting. It brought the team to the brink of internal collapse with episodes that marked the history of Formula One. Rosberg won the title in 2016 after a fierce battle and retired immediately after clinching the championship. So psychologically and physically destroyed was he by the all-out war with Hamilton. That situation left deep scars in Wolff's memory, and he has never forgotten how close he came to losing control of his own team. He doesn't want to relive that drama under any circumstances. He doesn't want Mercedes to be split again into two opposing factions that hate each other. He doesn't want the mechanics on one side of the garage to stop talking to those on the other side, as happened during the darkest years of the feud between the two former friends. That's why he issued this public and devastating ultimatum. It's a preventive, crystal-clear message directed at both Antonelli and Russell. Behave like professionals, respecting the team's internal rules, or one of you will lose your seat with no chance of appeal. The second half of the season opens with the Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort, and the pressure on Russell will be absolutely enormous in front of a crowd that knows the internal dynamics of Formula One well. If Russell keeps losing ground to Antonelli in the coming races, the accumulated frustration could push him to force dangerous situations on track that Wolff has already made clear he's not willing to tolerate under any circumstances. On the other hand, Antonelli might start to feel untouchable and protected, thanks to his enormous lead in the standings. And this attitude of superiority could generate explosive friction at the exact moment Russell tries to defend his position on track with the aggression of a man fighting for the survival of his career at the top of Formula One. Wolff is walking a very thin line, and he knows it perfectly well. He must keep a driver who's losing ground motivated without making the one who's winning everything feel too safe and untouchable. He must manage the enormous egos of two ambitious champions in a team that dominates the Constructors' Championship but could completely self-destruct from within if the rivalry gets out of hand in the coming races. And he has just announced to the entire world, in front of the cameras, that he's ready to make the most drastic and painful decision possible if the situation deteriorates even an inch beyond the limit. No team principal in recent Formula One history has ever made such a direct, public, and threatening statement toward his own drivers during a season in which his team is dominating. Stay on this channel and share this video because the second half of the 2026 season could deliver one of the most dramatic and unpredictable scenarios Formula One has ever experienced in its history.